My name's Niko Salazar, aka OZN. Yeah, and that's my art visual name. I'm 30 years old. I was born in 1991. Artistically, I guess I was exposed to popular cartoons and anime and illustration and comics, manga, all sorts. I do visual work for people, mainly digital work, illustrations, and consulting with other visual workers as well. So to bring out an image, I do it because I started doing it for a long time already. Now I'm on my 10th year working professionally on the visual industry. I'm focusing now on illustration, and that's why I'm making pre-productions with comics lately. What do I love about my job and what drives me to work on it? I guess it's the fact that I'm a very imaginative person and I like exploring concepts that are always on the surface of people's minds. Whenever I'm in a conversation and a lot of people around me try to explore a certain type of concept, I always explore it more with them. And because I have the skill in drawing, I am able to draw those concepts out in the paper or in either photography, but mainly through illustration. And yeah, that drives me to sit down and work all day, just exploring those thoughts, those vivid, captured imaginations inside our heads, not just mine, but everybody around me. The most difficult part about animating or anything in line with this type of work or job is that getting that motivation to actually sit down and work on the image. A lot about it has to do something really in the push. I mean, the will of the artist to actually start doing something about it. And just getting the pencil and sitting down and focusing on the canvas itself is already a tedious process between imagining first what you want to do and either doing a research or mainly just using your pure imagination and using that as the template of your sketch or the image you want to create. I think that's one of the most hardest part in doing this type of work, being able to lock in vividly on what you want to bring out on the canvas.
What can you say about the Philippine animation industry?
I have so many things to say about the Philippine animation industry. Actually, I've been involved with some exchanges before in different countries, just trying to share what we had um, in the mainstream, current developments about our industry, together understanding in their own industry as well. And we were able to cite some things that were really important to talk about, just like how which contents do artists choose in the mainstream to bring about certain things like relevance in conveying a message in the society. And I think with that, a lot of Filipino animators and artists are really exploring that powerful instrument now, wherein they're able to relay the most significant issues in our times right now through animation, just so we could like talk about it. The masses could actually start thinking about it, and with that, I guess that's how their media brings about the success of it. You know, just like after every artist is able to bring that message to the people, I think that the work there is done already. And I think the Filipino artists, a lot of them, I could name a few, but I think it's already up there. Most of them are doing those types of technique right now. You know, that's the best part of it when you're able to, as a writer, as an artist, you have a message right there and it's clear. But you have to bring it in animation at some points for everybody to see. And I think Philippines is doing that now.
What problems does the industry face? Or you as an artist face?
So in the industry, we have a lot of things, you know, that are working around us that are affecting the growth of the industry, of what it should be. Ideally, we all have expectations of what kind of things we want to see on screen, what kind of contents we want to digest. And in reality, it's always in an ideal point of view, you know, because everybody's imaginative. Everybody's a consumer. Everybody wants to see something what they want to imagine. But the truth is, everybody is also a worker. So at the end of the day, when we're talking about being workers, you also have to think about the type of living they're in. And I'm sorry to say, but Philippines hasn't arrived yet on that level where independent artists could actually do their work without worrying about other things in their lives. Because even now, at the time of pandemic, a lot of and the effects that it brought us affected a lot of artistic workers around in the city. Just, you know, we're already in the central part of the country, but you can still see that type of downfall in everybody's career. And so that has to do a lot with how the system works, I guess. The reality is that there's not much of a support yet for truly passionate independent workers out there. There's not like a bureau yet. There's not a department where these type of people and group of people can go and say, "Hey, I have a project and it relates to our world right now, and we can if we can collaborate, that could be awesome." But the thing is, we don't have that yet. You have to go. It's still political. You have to go up. You know, you have to talk to the right people, and see if that could actually happen. That's not how it should be. And I think that's a down part of working as a fine artist or a graphic novelist in the Philippine world right now, because that's certain stuff of a entity that should support these artists are not existing yet, or yet to develop in a bigger scale in the future. If it's happening right now, it's still not enough for a change to actually happen, for good things to happen in our world right now. And to bring it down in a personal level, I think that's where you start seeing most of these artists suffer, but some of them actually come out after the ashes and become successful. There are good things. You can see certain phenomena that are happening to certain artists, bad things because of the lack of technology and equipments, and good things because these people who are already for example, I can already like work on my own without being to think about other things, so I can focus on my project and really try to finish my projects. But the problem is, if you're not supported, you'll probably go down and have your story somewhere in the shelf. It's never gonna get published for everybody to see, and that's a challenge. If you're really one of those artists who are trying to push, even with the crisis right now, even with the challenges right now, then I think that distinguishes you from either an artist who's made it and an artist who's still trying to make it. It's a never-ending process anyway. The more you do it, the more you're closer to the end goal. So that's just what I think. What pushes the artist right now, what's challenging him right now. It's just a matter of time, and really try to think about how you can actually go from A to finish. Oh, my main drive and my motivation, I think, are my friends who are almost at the same level of topics that we choose to discuss about every day. I'm surrounded with a lot of talented thinkers as well. These people work in visual works, not just illustration, but bringing about images in film and filmmaking and cinema. I think without them, I wouldn't be able to generate that type of imagination as well in my mind. Illustration works hand in hand also with real images around the artist. So in my case, that's the type of thing that drives me initially. And the second would be maybe the kind of media I intake as an individual, which would be my comics, the graphic novels I try to follow and read. Some of them coming from Western influences, Filipino during 1970s and 60s comics. And also, right now, I'm trying to explore Japanese culture, Japanese manga. Those type of things drives me to explore more on the technical side of it all. But yeah, I try to mix it all up with different types of cultures coming from different countries. And the third would be maybe the uh, the practice itself of drawing and illustrating. I think I managed to bring it as an everyday thing now for me. Like every day, I try to draw and develop a title that I've already started way before, and just like focus on its process and progress. And yeah, I have a big respect towards the practice itself, just like any other artist around the world who's grinding and pushing to bring about more pages in their folders. And then I think the more you draw, the more you come close to what you actually want to have in the end, which is an image you want to show in public. And I think that's the thing. That's the truth, actually. Like a lot of artists, they only present one image in the public eye, but the story behind sometimes in an image actually, there's more behind it. There's like nobody knows. I mean, it's different for everything, but that's the thing. The drawing, reading comics, and then being surrounded by visual workers. My process is it always starts with a sketch, and that sketch develops into making sense where it would lead to. Sometimes it leads to exploring on that concept of the sketch, and then sometimes I would pick a camera and just walk around the city and try to relate my sketch to the landscape around me, and then after that bring myself back to my room again, and then just like maybe digest some media, watch some film that's related to again the sketch that I've made, or this type of concept that I'm exploring, until I try to collect more and more inputs about it. And then I would sometimes paste those things around my wall and then realize that they're actually arriving at a certain meaning, until I decide at some point that it actually makes sense now. And that's why I have these concepts in my folders that have stories inside them already. Um, some of them exploring the genres of fiction, some of them folklore, because we're in the Philippines. That's a very good instrument to use to tell stories, and some of them are cartoons. Sometimes I'd explore genres in just humor cartoons, and yeah, those are the type of things I'm making right now. I think the best advice that anyone could give to another artist or another type of person who's trying to achieve the same kind of goal is just to try to stick to his commitments in terms of art projects, because in a way that's the type of path you go for. You could always go in different types of lanes and choose another type of art project, but you always need to have one type of thing that's going to be, out there in public, because that's the main thing about this type of practice, type of way of making art. Um, Graphic novel, it may be, or manga, or comics, and different types of expressions. Just to have a singular objective, and trying to achieve that, putting it into public. I think that's one of the first advice I could give, because that really puts you in the setting already, and so you could have a name for yourself. And once you start making that, though, there are more advices that are to come, because we're talking about continuity now. You still want to make it. That's the thing about making comics or animation or anything, like even filmmaking. You still want to make more. You want to tell more stories. You want to put meaning into the public realm. And I think, yeah, I would tell the same thing to another artist, to keep on pushing and making those pages come to life, and then working with a lot of talented people as well, working with people who knows how to listen, working with strangers you haven't met before, but up there for the meaning of it all, because you need certain types of people around you to bring about this type of manifestations of making books and making visual stories and pages. It's not just you in the end who should work on this thing. Like for me, I'm already the one who's handling things, but I know I'm working with a lot of people as well. Just just being conscious of that type of reality, that you are working as a unit, and you yourself as a storyteller and the the visual, the illustrator. You are, let's say, the frontier of it all, and these people around you works hand in hand to bring about that product in the end. If in Yeah, that's the best thing I could say. Just to hang on that process and work with all the people around you until you arrive on that last product.
Do you have any regrets, and what advice would you give to your younger self?
I could name a lot of regrets, but that would be me interpreting my past as a sort of like experience that I didn't want to happen. But the reality is, I did choose for them to happen. I like the type of thing I've done in the past, even though some of them were challenging, and we're all people, we're not perfect, and we could actually think about a lot of regrets. But I like those because um, those taught me a lot of lessons. Just like growing up from a young adult to becoming a full adult, that's a lot of years already. I can name a lot. Um, Regrets within art career, obstacles. Maybe I wish I would have had done more relatable things in society, so that could have shaken other people as well. But I feel that as a sort of regret because it's the society working around us itself. Sometimes you can't do anything anymore, even if you want to be free and if you want to be liberal. That's really impossible nowadays, and that's why we have the challenges within ourselves. That's a really main regret if you think about it. A lot of artists out there can't voice out really what they want to say because of the certain type of regimes they're surrounded in right now. And because of that regret, that lesson, I think that's another thing I want to share to different kinds of artists is to find a way to actually tell those hidden messages around your place, those outcries that you want to say but you can't out in public. This is the thing, you use these types of instrument like graphic novels, making comics to finally make those messages arrive at everybody's consciousness. That's what I'm trying to say. And maybe some regrets, things that I've thought about that I didn't wish I did more better at, I guess, would be, I don't know, maybe being a better producer, I guess, because it's everything in terms of handling projects, even though whatever kind of projects you're handling. To be a good producer, I guess, is to be the same thing as being a good artist. If you're a good producer, you're able to think about all the stuff that you need to bring about your project. But yeah, but that type of thing, it comes with time, and I think I'm already learning that right now, and it's more of the practice and actually learning more from your past, the lessons that you've ingested. Yeah, I think that's two main things. This is the thing about Philippine folklore. It has been already there, just like how any other folklore has been there in different types of cultures. But the thing about Philippine folklore, though, is that it's still strong in every region out there in the Philippines. We're in an archipelagic country. We've been dominated by the Christian doctrine, the Catholic doctrine, run by the Spanish, and even up to when we were colonized by the Americans, we were still under the regime of Catholicism and being Christians. And in Philippine folklore, we don't really work around those things. We started with believing in deities in different types of nature. Just like we had forest deities, we had deities that would relate to the skies, the waters, everything around us. But when we were eventually colonized by these different types of regimes, we had to mix about our own folklore and theirs. So these are certain types of phenomenons that a lot of Filipinos haven't been aware about yet. And we're in a time right now that we're actually seeing a combination of different types of folklores and different types of beliefs in one setting, which is the modern Philippine setting now. That's why I chose folklore, because I guess it's time for us to reflect back again why these certain types of realm actually exist. You see them coming up in different types of titles in popular media, but I'm not gonna name them because they're out there already. But you see them, you know. You see the Capre, which is supposed to be the giant troll in the Philippines, interacting now with a vampire that was introduced by the Spanish regime. That's also remolded or reversioned by different types of popular culture like the American. And all these things, all these characters merge now in the imaginative world that we all created. And but we don't really understand yet why they all conspire. That's why I'm trying to bring back folklore again in my own way of expressing, because we need to understand why they were there. You know, we need to understand why people from this era and our age, we still believe in them. We still try to explore their symbolisms behind. It's because they're real. I think they're all allegories. You know, they're there for a reason. It's for us to believe in something when we don't know what to believe in anymore. I think bringing back this medium as a sort of instrument to explore what we don't understand is good. It's healthy for our consciousness. You know, everybody knows these aren't real, but through allegories, through literature, through art, through reflecting the mainstream right now, we're able to explore those untold issues that were not in the public realm, which is controlled by the powers around us.